action. Hi, everyone. Paul was just asking if Fisher has read the book, and he has not. And that's totally fine. He will read it when he is ready to read it. Hi, everybody. This is my friend Paul. He's here for me to read to him today. Today we're going to do chapter 5 of my book, Dancing with Demons, A Love Story, by Laura L. Holloway. That's me. And Pony, you are not allowed to ask to go outside while we're reading, so I would like you to lie down, please. Can you lie down here? Whew! And I'm getting a hot flash. A lot of big, exciting things going on in the world right now. I don't know if you watched any of my videos. Did you get a chance to watch any of my videos?
I haven't watched the videos.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is kind of how they go, only it's usually just me. Just winging it. What do you think? Glasses or no glasses? That's really big.
Yeah, it made it.
It made it really big. I can always pause and put on glasses. Chapter 5. Where would that be? That's chapter 7. That's chapter 6. I wrote nice short chapters. Did you appreciate that while you were reading it? Not too much to bite off at one time. All right. Chapter 5. The Nature of Positive Delusion. Maybe I do want my glasses. We'll see. So it opens with a quote, as they all do, every chapter does. The arc of this whole business is really the order that we're describing, that it's desire, then love, and then attachment. And oftentimes that people can get confused. You may know some of these people, or you may be one of these individuals, who might confuse desire for attachment, or might confuse love for attachment. That's a quote by Dr. Andrew Huberman of the Huberman Lab podcast episode called The Science of Love, Desire, and Attachment. Are you familiar with Dr. Huberman?
No.
So much good information. All right. Monday, November 30th, 2020, 6:07 a.m. The big round moon is shining down like a street lamp in the sky, making the snow, the rooftops, the trees, the dirt, the rocks, making everything shine with an ethereal glow. I awake to see a falling star outside my window in the big, big sky, to feel Apollo pressed warmly down by my feet, to hear Anzu breathe deeply in dreams by my side. Hey Shia, can you stop chomping, please? Thank you. That's good, thank you. And I remember the words he wrote to me, that I would definitely be his delight when he went to bed last night. This is a romantic chapter, did you?
No, this is the first time for me.
Yeah,
So
this is a romantic chapter.
listening.
I remember how, out there in the snow and open air, the field and trees and sky, we laughed and awkwardly hugged goodbye, and I wrapped my leg around him as though I would wrestle him to the snowy ground. How he had wanted to kiss me then, he would later confess by text. How I stood in the snow wondering, as I admired him in his Carhartt work pants, jogging effortlessly away across the snow, his shoulders square and muscular beneath his Melanzana hoodie, to his manly truck, awaiting his return like a patient, noble steed. Just wondering what the heck had been awakened in me. The big old moon shines down on me as I luxuriate in clean sheets, as I drift through half-dreams of what it would feel like, smell like, taste like, to lay my hands on that strong body, to place my mouth upon his skin, what that would look like, to hear him gasp and sigh and groan, how that could all so deliciously unfold. The Marcy Playground song, Sex and Candy, slides into my head. I breathe deeply and I smile. I love that he's into canning. I love that he's building his own house by hand. I love that he seems a little unsure of himself, that in his hesitations and quietness, which I wasn't sure how to read, he later confessed, through the safety of text messages, that he was very turned on by me. Then tells me he wonders if that was too much to share. Then speaks again of honesty. I love that on our first walkabout through the trees, we were able to speak openly of our challenges with relationships. How sometimes we are, quote, too much for other folks. I love that all the while, I would later learn, he was admiring me in my hiking boots, my camping print tights and skirt. He messages me a photo of himself, fresh out of the shower, wet hair combed neatly, a towel revealing his muscular hip, while discreetly covering his manly bits. He proceeds to tell me he wonders if that is too much, while I, meanwhile, am taken aback by the beauty of this man, now that I allow myself to open to the possibility of him. Now that I may be swayed by the intense look on his handsome face, where before, and for years as acquaintances, I would not, I could not. Something kept me from going there. Now, I feel a curious stirring in my chest, and I'm unsure of how to name it. It is vulnerability. Yes, it is apprehension. It is admiration, most certainly. And also, it is desire. That is it, yes. Desire. I think about what the pretty astrologer said to me, about really diving in deep into the exploration of this part of me, about the notion of taking on a lover. I would have to revisit how the astrologer phrased it, but something about how it was to nourish me. Something very exciting is going on outside. There's probably
Car driving by.
yeah, or like birds flying around up in the sky. Oh my gosh, she hates it when they do that. Hi, Ivy. Come on. I will have to revisit now how the astrologer phrased it, but something about how it was to nourish me, to engage only with that which feeds my goddess within, the queen that I am, as she phrased it. I know that I cannot be nourished by someone who is starving themselves. What I desire is the company of a seeker, like me, that we may explore together, grow together, that we may nourish one another. So there, we will see. I am grateful that he shared with me his apprehensions about having the time and availability to, quote, commit to a relationship in good faith that it would be fulfilling. I don't know where to go with that currently, he texted, just giving you my honesty. I so deeply appreciate honesty. So, perhaps a friendship is what it will be for now, laced with attraction and desire. Perhaps this is the perfect distanced exploration for me right now, to go a little deeper into my own workings and what that brings up for me. This beautiful Wolverine work of art, this man. Let me see what this brings up for me. How are you doing?
Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have a new microphone. I'm so curious if the microphone is working.
I'll bet it is.
I'm really excited about the new microphone. Maybe the sound will be so much better than ever before in all the previous chapters. Okay. Tuesday, December 1st, 2020. 3 o'clock a.m. Here I am, awake since 2 o'clock, mind whirring, thinking about what it is that I desire, recognizing these curious patterns I fall into again and again. Fear, loneliness, longing. I think about where these feelings come from, what I learned by my mother leaving when I was 3 years old, though of course it was not her fault, and what I learned from my dad desperately missing her, his unfillable longing to mend the gaping wound that her displacement left. Is that what I learned? To spend a lifetime struggling with that same unquenchable desire? yet pushing back against it as well. A spiral of swirling loneliness, coupled with a fierce independence. The push me pull you of my precarious steps, always seeking balance, always a bit off and wary. I find myself thinking about when Bear and I were partners, how he was always there, always wonderfully ready to make himself available to me, to connect. It seemed that no sooner had young Fisher gone back to his dad's, Bear would be tapping at my front door. I loved that he was so into loving me, and also I felt devoured sometimes, depleted by his appetite. Yet when he took his attentions away from me, it was never long before I missed him terribly, missed that connection, that adoration, that support. When we parted ways the final time, sealed by him meeting the woman who is now his wife, I went through a substantial period of being awash with regret, of questioning having let him go. Yet I knew, at the same time, that it must be the true way for us. He and his new partner seemed like such a perfect fit for each other. With us, despite a solid friendship coupled with a primal ferocity to our love, something just never felt quite right. So here I am with a potential love interest waiting in the wings, someone I am curious about and attracted to, and also wary of, as seems prudent to be. Here I am, kind of obsessing about him already, as seems to be my pattern with these sorts of things. I remind myself that even when Dan and I first began reconnecting a few weeks ago, is that all it was? Could have been a couple months ago? I also began spinning in my little tizzies, based on romantic memories and residual feelings from our youth sparked in me, and not much more than that. Connection in curious little fits and starts with Dan, and red flags up the wazoo, marking the trail to where I am now, which is that it does not feel wise to encourage the exploration of our old friendship as anything other than that. I am grateful that he did not end up at my doorstep, however many weeks ago, when he told me he was packing his bags and would be on his way soon. Initially, I'd felt disappointed when he did not arrive as promised, but I reminded myself not to push the river, as Nana used to say, to just keep checking in with my heart and my internal guidance system, that whatever will be, to trust these angels watching over me, to know that they're doing a good job, to trust that they're protecting me, and have my best interest always at heart. Now, here I am with just this tiny taste of candy in the flesh. The first man I have embraced in over a year who makes my little heart go pitter-pat, whose body calls out to mine. Late last summer, on an impulsive trip to Wisconsin, I did not feel such a draw toward my newer friend, a baker, though admittedly we both harbored some optimism of connecting in such a way. I very much enjoyed the ease of his company, but there was no energetic draw as lovers. Instead, I became enamored with the many acres of woods and fields around his hand-built home, with the smell of fresh bread baking in the brick oven, and the sounds of animals in the forest, from where Anzu and I slept on the porch at night. I remember the baker saying how I seemed more excited about his porch than by him, and regrettably, his observation was true. It just was. There was nothing I could do about it. Oh man, how I loved that porch. Oh man, how I loved that porch. I did. I want to build one here that I can sleep on. On that trip, I did feel the draw of which I speak toward an old soul brother, lover friend, which surely was unfortunate for me. The one day we were able to meet for a walk through a nature preserve. There was the old magnetic pull between our bodies as we embraced in the parking lot, as he gazed at me admiringly, he who has known me since back a quarter century. We walked hand in hand along the mown paths, through the intoxicating beauty of the Wisconsin landscape, through trees and flowers and long grasses, pausing to admire butterflies, to take pictures, to speak as old friends about what we are learning in life. So strong was the energy between us, the pull of my longtime Piscean soul friend. When his gentle goodbye kiss lingered, it melted into the impassioned kiss of a lover of love. As my breath quickened at the taste of his tongue, my heartbeat emboldened by the sweetness of his lips, by an old familiarity to his breath. And then, no, there was this. He was not for me to keep, my old friend. He had promised himself to another. Though this momentary delusion suggested otherwise, he was not available to offer himself to me, and that, most certainly, was not what I need. Halfway back to Colorado, I spoke on the phone of this kiss to my best bestie, Brandy, who did not understand why I was crying. I could not explain to her the aching in my chest, because I also did not understand. And now, what of Bjorn? A curiosity. Is he available to offer himself to me? Is he available to reveal himself as truly what I need? Then there's little stars. They're denoting a shift into modern day times. As you read it, you would see that.
Oh, you jump back
and you'd
and
be
forth.
like, what's going on? Oh, she's talking here from... All right. I would like to interject here from modern day times that, spoiler alert, Bjorn does not turn out to be the man of my dreams. Were you worried? You're like, here we go. This is the man of her dreams.
Yes.
Why is he not here in this house right now? Oh, wait. The man of fantasies, most certainly, and at times, eventually, a good friend. But not the man of my overarching dreams. This is not going to be a love story about Bjorn, or any other man for that matter. It is, in fact, a love story about me, myself. About finding a path to falling in love with all my complicated, complex, multifaceted, and often messy workings. In ways that have long felt elusive at best. I mean really and for real. As the saying goes, you will never be able to truly love someone else until you first truly love yourself. I know this to be accurate. On the deepest levels, in the most hidden and sneakiest of ways, when you are finally able to love yourself, I mean really love yourself, that's the only path toward experiencing and expressing such love for others in purest form. I mean really and for real. Shia fully gets this part. Can we see Shia? She fully gets this part. So, if you had your heart set on a story where the handsome hero becomes the solution for all that ails the girl, now would be a good time for you to abandon this version of a fairy tale. Or you could hang in there a while longer, with a little optimism, thank you, and see how this version goes. I have considered a great deal just how much of the Bjorn parts I wish to include in this story, because in my journals he's going to keep coming up quite a lot for a while, and then some. To be honest, it's a little embarrassing how much I distracted myself with him, and also, that was so much a part of what I needed yet to learn. As of this writing, Bjorn and I still communicate from time to time, and he still gives me a run for my money, emotionally and otherwise. In talking this over with Brandy yesterday, the point I made to her was that I recognized this story is not at all about him, and still, he became such a powerful facilitator for bits and pieces of what I had to learn. He became a fabulous, excruciating trigger for me, for my embedded patterns and deeply buried issues, from long, long before he and I became involved. A trigger for all that I needed unearthed and held painfully in front of my face as I engaged in the most intensive self-work of my life as I know it yet. Bjorn became my trigger, my mirror, my father figure, confidant, lover, and nemesis, all bundled into one, whether he was up for it or not. Dare say the poor fellow was not up for it at all, awash in his own many things. Quote, I don't want to be your trigger, he protested more than once. How would he have said it? I don't want to be your trigger. All the same, to this day, I am grateful for his role in the many insights gleaned in helping to illuminate what was difficult for me to see. The reluctant hero, as one might call him, eventually revealing himself to be exactly and perfectly, in the grander scheme of things, both what I did and what I did not really need. This would be so.
I'll bet the mic's working.
This would be very different to read in a sound studio. We should.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a sound studio? Something.
I don't have dogs barking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A smaller room with good acoustic where dogs aren't barking.
We'll work on that for chapter 6 or 7.
Yeah. Future chapters. All right. There's more stars. Paper's falling out here. More stars.
Okay.
Okay.
Back to modern times.
Yeah. Back to the past times.
Past times.
Back to journal times. Back to whenever that was that I was writing in the journal. Yes. There's a lot of time traveling in this book.
Yeah.
Did you pick up on that?
Yeah.
You have to really pay attention to figure out.
But still fairly recent. I mean, 2020,
yeah.
like just.
Yeah. Well, other than the chapter 2, which was from 2005.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but that's a big jump. Yeah. Here. Do you want to...
Where are we at?
We left off... Do you want to read like a paragraph? Sure. I'd be inside.
It seems as though Bjorn desires my admiration and validation, just as I have felt from him in brief interactions in our past, and what I've witnessed of his behavior from afar. So yes, now up close, it's no surprise that's what I'm noticing. I enjoy the attention of it directed towards me. This seeking of approval, so far as to finally ask me outright, by messenger, not to my face, mind you, if I'm attracted to him. To which I felt hesitant to answer, albeit truthfully. Yes, indeed, I am.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm not hidden behind a dog now, anyway.
Hi, go lie down, baby. Please go lie down. Thank you. Ivy, whatever's out there does not need your immediate attention. Ivy, please lie down. Psst. Ivy, hi, come. Mama, come please. Oh, you're good. Come here. She doesn't understand cues like lie down. Lie down. She's like, I am a working dog. I do not know cues like lie down. Yes, so yeah. If I'm attracted to him, to which I felt hesitant to answer, albeit truthfully. Yes, indeed, I am. Now there is silence from him again. What is that with guys?
I barely know myself, let alone what anyone else does.
Fair enough. It reminds me of an experience with a fellow years ago who turned out to be a perfect broken-winged bird for me, missing arm and all. The way he gushed over me for the first weekend, after we'd met at a talk he was giving, then confessed after leaving town that he wasn't in a place for a relationship, but would like to see me again. And I didn't really listen, I suppose. I heard what I wanted to hear. I reached out to him regularly, offering my support regarding some stressful life challenges he was dealing with. I suppose part of me thought he would feel endeared by my caring and availability, but of course it had the opposite effect. Oh, that's Paolo. Paolo's snoring. Do you hear that?
Yeah. I didn't know what it was, but I heard it.
It's the old cat snoring. I ended up becoming, quote, needy in his eyes, though I bristled at this eventual remark. Admittedly, needy was exactly how I felt, desperate for the attention he had lavished upon me in the beginning, desperate for the drug that tasted like love. This is not what real love tastes like, my dear. I do not want what some seem to offer me, the chaos, confusion, and strife. What I wish for, what my heart truly desires, is health, balance, reciprocity, real love, not just some freaking drug. When Bjorn and I were walking up the woodland slope, we spoke of social media, of dopamine releases, and addictions. He asked if I have any addictions that I struggle with, and I laughed, hesitating only momentarily before blurting out, well, the first things that come to mind are cute boys and chocolate. He paused, looked at me. I laughed nervously. I had to explain what I meant, which led to a conversation most delicious to my palate. Conversation which felt like real talk to me. We seemed to both be coming from a place of honest vulnerability as we spoke of our challenges in past relationships and of being, quote, too much for some. But for other people, I added, I'm just the right amount. For some people, it seems this is exactly what they appreciate about me. My forthrightness, my authenticity. For me, it was so sexy to get to the meat of these issues in our first real interaction, even in the brief amount of time he'd been able to carve out of his busy schedule for a conversation in the flesh. It was vastly alluring to me when he'd overstayed his allotted time by 45 minutes. I felt we had much more we could talk about, and I did not want him to leave. So lovely that I wanted to keep touching him, to grab his strong arms, to hook my heel around his leg and try, laughing, to get him down to the snowy ground. I was like a child trying to wrestle down a tree. In reply to my later confession, he texted, "You want me on the ground? All you have to do is ask. Want me on my knees? Just ask." Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah. Sorry, that line gets me a little bit.
Brings back a little.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was just thinking about this yesterday. I was just thinking about that line yesterday. Just like, kind of in hindsight, like, I don't know, man, what the fuck? Anyways, I digress.
There's a lot in that. Like, I don't quite know what that would mean.
I don't know. To this day, I don't. And here we are, like, 5 years later? And literally yesterday, I was like, what the fuck did that mean?
Yeah.
What did he mean by that? It is so easy for me to get lost in what feels like true connection, to get swept away in what I wish to be real. My desire is not only for the physical connective magic, but for all the intense creative energy it brings. I want to touch, to feel, to taste, to express that love, or is it lust? That desire becomes my drug, and I can become insatiable. That's a good thing for me to look at. My editor wanted me to stop that paragraph with, and I can become insatiable. And I'm like, no, it's also important to have the part where I say that's a good thing for me to look at. So I know it, takes away from some of the drama of the statement, but it's still important. Okay. Wednesday, December 2nd, 2020, 3:35 a.m. I did a lot of starting to write in the witching hour, which I interesting to reflect on. What we resist persists, I was told in Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. What did God say next? That what we look at disappears? Something like that. I'm not sure what that means exactly, but here I am, looking. So there is this fear thing in me. There is this fucking loneliness. There is this insecurity, this doubting of my own value, my own worth. All of it is coming up 20-fold. I draw these demons to myself most effectively through the forms of beautiful, in parentheses, dangerous men, visibly strong and promising depth, but ultimately unavailable emotionally. This is no coincidence. What with my complicated relationship with the first man in my life, who, as a little girl, was nothing short of God to me. Father, the one who I feared and also longed deeply to be seen by, to have his approval, his affection, to have value in his eyes. This is where it all gets a little jumbled for me in terms of what I think I am doing, what I'm trying to sort out around these issues by drawing these men to me. I'm having a flashback to a walk by the river with Dad a few years ago when I was struggling with scary drama around a fellow I'd been involved with on and off for more than a year. A fellow who I'd had reservations about over many years of being friendly acquaintances, but after a painful breakup and feeling very lonely, got drawn in by his charming words and ways, doing all the right things to convince me he was a good friend. When we became involved more intimately, the shiny surface illusions gave way to deeper darknesses, which I somehow thought I could help mend. The broken-winged bird thing, which comes up for me again and again, especially when I ended things. He continued reaching out to me insistently. No, I'm still in the frame. As my dad and I walked along the river, the guy was texting me angrily, as had become a part of his pattern. Sometimes he'd call me at all hours of the night to spew drunken, toxic venom through the phone at me to tell me how awful I was. Rather than just turning off my phone, I'd try to pacify him, to help him through his rage and pain. He always apologized profusely within days, telling me how special and important I was to him. A couple of times he showed up swaying toward my doorstep, and I'd instinctively try to make out if he had a gun. Fisher knew that if the guy ever showed up in such a manner, to go inside immediately and be ready to dial 911. I confessed to my dad a bit of this mess I'd become entangled in, as I'm sure I must have been visibly shaken. I remember Dad saying to me in a tone which rang accusatory to my ears, "Don't you love yourself enough not to allow someone like that in your life?" The intensity of his words stung, driven deeply home. At the time, I don't believe that I did know how to love myself enough, apparently. Otherwise, why would I allow myself to suffer such verbal and emotional abuse? Some part of me felt that not only could I handle the drama, but that I somehow deserved it too. Some part of it felt comfortable to me, even craving it, as messed up as that sounds. Of course, I thought I could fix the guy. I could understand and help him in a way no other woman could. I'm guessing this is pretty classic textbook dysfunction here, and that I believed by saving this guy from his chaos, his brokenness, his toxicity, and his pain, I would be saved myself. That by liberating the light I saw flickering way down deep inside of him, I would become worthy of love. The best thing to come from the conversation with my dad was that I was broken enough to open to the parts of him. Did I read that right? The best thing to come from the conversation with my dad was that I was broken enough to open to the parts of him that were kind and caring and generous. Those parts of Dad who wanted nothing more than to love and to be loved, the parts of him that wanted to help. On that day by the river, I cried in his presence. I confessed I didn't know what to do. He asked if I ever thought of going to the Hoffman process, a week-long guided self-exploration retreat in California, which had been profoundly life-altering for him 20-some years earlier. I remember it was like he came back a different man, more loving and open, not angry and stern, as I had mostly known him. I told him that yes, I had long been curious about the process and would be willing to give it a try, but that the cost and logistics of such an excursion had always seemed too formidable. He told me plainly that he would help me figure it out, for whatever I needed to make it happen. I paused, silently considering his proposition for what felt uncomfortably new to me, after what seemed like a lifetime of being responsible for meeting my own needs. That he was offering, and that I could let him help me. I took a deep breath and said, "Thank you." That was a huge moment for my dad and me, one I can look back on with gratitude. Indeed, the Hoffman process ended up facilitating a huge shift for me. Another of those times when the doors of perception opened further, where my insights and perspectives widened dramatically. It also became a precursor for many more insights that were soon to come. It was the first tremors of what would grow into earth-shattering tectonic plate-moving shifts for me. So, here's the thing, and it's important to keep reminding myself, lest I allow myself to slide down the muddy slope toward old, unhelpful patterns again, toward these broken-winged birds of men. I do love myself more than to allow dysfunction and abuse into my world. Right, Ivy? She lets out a big sigh.
Yeah.
She's like, fuck yes. Not to mention, I do love myself more than to allow dysfunction and abuse into my world, not to mention the worlds of my beloved child and my animal family. I do have respect for myself, and I honor my own needs. I can have compassion for and be of assistance to others while still maintaining healthy boundaries and taking care of me. This is the part that feels exciting in its newness to me, in its harvesting of resilience and strength. These notions are what I wish to continue cultivating. They are what feel helpful to me. The reprogramming of some old, worn-out patterns of that which no longer serves me. The knowing that health and balance are available to me if I can only figure out how to get there. Also the honoring of where others are on their own given paths, the place where they, wittingly or not so much, have chosen for themselves to be. To not get roped into that which does not serve me ultimately. To follow the wisdom that I am earning. To keep learning. Sweet mother, I am making progress at last. Great kid, don't get cocky on me. Han Solo. A quote by Han Solo. Something I noticed on my Sunday walk with Bjorn is that he doesn't really ask me questions, but he's pretty good at talking about himself. I believe this is common, and I get it. I've been there too. It's easy to become self-occupied, especially when feeling nervous or vulnerable, and when desiring the approval of another. At one point, I thought to myself, stop asking questions now, Laura. Stop talking. Let him ask some questions now. Let him reach out to me, or let there just be silence. That is where I am again now, and it feels like a good place to be. Let it breathe, let it breathe, let it be. This feels like a longer chapter.
That was a good long chapter, but
it's
that's
not,
good.
It's not over yet.
Oh, yeah, it's still going. Oh, that seemed like a finished spot.
Yeah, so that was a closing for the writing of that day. Yeah, we got a few more pages.
Okay.
This is a long chapter. Are you down?
Yeah,
You doing good?
Yeah.
You chilling? You need a
I
coffee?
think it's still running time and all that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is a long chapter. We're on 40 minutes.
Okay.
Is that? Wow, really?
Well, there's been a little bit of dog barking.
Yeah, there's
you
all the
stopping.
fun distractions. Hopefully, anybody listening to it can just listen to it. Like I listen to podcasts and I listen to them while I'm driving or whatever. And I just pause them when I need to do something else.
Yeah.
They're great company for doing dishes. Hopefully it doesn't take 40 minutes for somebody to do their dishes, but there's other things to do. Yeah. Okay. All right, so now we are at Sunday, December 6th, 2020, 4:40 a.m.
I was sleeping.
You were sleepy? I was sleeping
No,
at
I
that
was-
time.
yeah.
At that time on Sunday, December 6th, 4:40 a.m. I was writing these words. I will not be wooed by chiseled abs and pectoral muscles like slabs of stone. I will not be wooed by strong arms and rugged hands, by an intense look in a photograph in his eyes. I will not be wooed by that muscle. You know the one. The muscle that extends near the hip, down along the lower side of a man's abdomen to his groin. The one that I want to caress, to kiss. I will not be wooed by that. When I was reading this at the library, one of the people who was listening to me read it looked up what that muscle is. A man, a gay man. He was like, "The muscle is called."
Yeah.
I'm like, thank you. Anywho, give me some communication to go along with all that sexiness. Give me some depth and true connection. If there is not time or desire for that from his end, then the entire endeavor will not be worth my while, and life is too precious for that. I am grateful for the opportunity to explore these notions, to find clarity. Whatever the outcome ends up being with the handsome Bjorn, I will continue to feel grateful for this. Good. Thank you. Ashaya, that's you, comes trotting downstairs from my bedroom, where she and Anzu have been sleeping, while I write down here in the guest room. She is happy to see me in her tiny prancing pony dog display, and tells me excitedly that she would like to go outside, please. And for that, I am grateful too. That means no poop or pee in the house, by golly, which has been a blessing long and hard won. It's true, isn't it? These tiny blessings fill me with such gratitude, like the tiny, trembling, huge-eared pixie creature telling me she needs to go out. Then I wrote again at 7:57 p.m. Eskew. Maybe I'm thinking too much, always processing so many thoughts in my mind. Do I really need to process so much all the time? Do I really need all of these words? Listening to Jay Shetty's book this morning while I did yoga, that was my multitasking. He spoke of how multitasking is one of those monkey mind things, and yep, that's exactly what I was doing. All of this writing, I don't even know why. It's like I'm trying to write myself to some place of solace, to write away all of this loneliness. If I had someone to share all my thoughts with, would I still keep writing? Would it still be such a compulsion? Or would my loneliness be squelched, my obsessive desire for expression fulfilled? Would all of my questions be answered finally, or would I just not feel the need to ask them anymore? This morning I went to work out at a girlfriend's porch gym, as she calls it. She put me on the elliptical in the garage for a mere 10 minutes, and despite breaking into a good sweat, I kept thinking, this is boring as fuck. Where am I going? Nowhere. That's where. Nowhere in this garage, that's for darn sure. I was just cranky, not really sure what my problem was. Even just chatting with my friend and her partner, I found myself cursing a whole lot. Maybe I'm just not comfortable here. Maybe I'm just not comfortable in my own skin. I feel askew. After porch gym, I drove the dogs over to the baseball field and attempted to take them for a walk along the river. I got not quite as far as one of the small lakes along the treed pathway, 10 minutes or so, then got freaked out hearing a dog barking from one of the condos and couldn't see what was around the bend. So we turned around and walked quickly back to the truck, with grumbling in my brain. I keep thinking, I don't know what I fucking want. I feel as though I am teetering on the edge of some dream. Who is in this dream? What the fuck is happening? How the fuck did I get here? And what the fuck is going to happen next? I like the word fuck.
I'm gathering that.
Aren't you glad your mom's not reading this to you right now?
Yeah.
Or would she?
She would be okay with it.
Cool, good.
But
I like your mom already.
But we'll see. My copy is made out to her.
That's true. Yeah, you did buy it for your mom.
Yeah.
That's good job, you.
She's the reader.
Good son. Okay. We humans and our desire to understand and control everything all the time. I just don't want to be scared of everything all the time anymore. I want to know why I'm fucking scared all the time. What a crazy waste of life. Huh. I feel like Basquiat, or what I have learned of Basquiat, at the point where his complexion was all a mess and he didn't seem to know which way to turn. Yet here I am. My life is pretty simple. 2 dogs snoring by my side. Still, when fresh snow, where'd snow come from? Still, when fresh off the phone from a conversation with an old dear girlfriend, there it was waiting for me, that bone-crushing loneliness, the pain in my heart and chest, which makes me feel like reeling, like collapsing to the ground. It confuses me. What the fuck is this? Where does this come from? What on earth am I supposed to do with this? I can do all the house chores. I can clean the aquarium filters. I can vacuum the carpet. I can move the geranium plant hither and yon. That part was my favorite, the way it smelled as it brushed against my skin. I can watch the movie Basquiat again. I can feed the dogs and take them for a walk outside in the cool night air, silently, in the dark. As Anzu awakens on the bed now, she looks at me and sighs, and I can feel pressingly in my heart the weight of how much I love her. I can do and feel all of these things, and still there is something missing, some grand and urgent mystery, something that keeps me ensnared in my own fear and aching loneliness, my pain. There is something out there, or something in here. There is something that I need to look at, to illuminate, to learn how not to resist. There is something in me that needs to be healed. I think there's something I need to know, and then learn how to let it go. Then there's a quote. The intention underlying every action is what causes it to resonate with lower or higher frequency. You have lived many lifetimes unaware that you were powerful beings, creators, embodying all the qualities of Source. But you know it now, and at some point must actually accept it. End quote. By the Arcturian Group Message from December of 2020. Are you familiar with the Arcturians?
Is it the group of people in ancient time? Is that what you're talking about?
It's a group of light beings that are out there. Out there in the universe, and they channel through, I forget who they channel through exactly, but they do this monthly, and I've been reading them for years. Super interesting stuff.
Right.
Super interesting stuff.
Yeah. And different people like meditate and hone into them, and then they speak through them.
Yeah, there's a particular channel that they work through, I believe, but I'm sure other people are influenced by them in their own meditation. limitations and ways.
Or we all are and we don't know it.
Yeah. We can hope. Or maybe we are and we kind of do know it, and we're starting to know it. Maybe that's what that quote is about.
Yeah.
Maybe that connection to source is exactly what they're talking about, that we all do have it.
Just need to listen.
Yes. Paul. All right. I need to let it go. That was the closing of that journal entry. Then to Wednesday, December 9th, 2020, around 4 o'clock a.m. Were you sleeping?
I probably was sleeping on that time also. In the middle of the winter.
Yeah, for sure.
Dark outside.
Yes.
Cold.
Yeah. Laura scribbling madly at her little desk in her little guest room in her little townhouse 5 years ago. There is this compulsion I have to write all of these thoughts down, to expunge them from my mind, even though there are so many more than I can ever capture. The continual motion of images and ideas, like laundry in a dryer. Colors and textures keep tumbling, but it is difficult to sort them out. I need to stop the dryer. Take the articles of clothing out, one piece at a time. Fold them neatly. Put them where they need to go. It is no coincidence that at this moment I have a dryer load of clothes that have been in there for several days, waiting patiently to be folded and put away. There is another pile of dirty clothes waiting to be washed. But first I need to clear out the dryer. Dirty clothes pile metaphors abound. Thursday, December 10th, 2020, 7:32 a.m. You might have been waking up by then, eh?
I would be waking up by then.
Okay. I am still in the thick of something emotionally, that's for sure. When I came inside from taking the dogs for a pee, I felt a hot flash and a wave of emotion that I couldn't quite put my finger on. As I got to the stove to check on my gruel from my baker friend with the glorious country home in Wisconsin, I began to cry. I miss my home in the country. I miss having a big fenced-in yard. I miss my horse and my llama. I miss the trees, the birds, and the deer. Then there is all the emotion and vulnerability I had laid out on the table moments earlier, by way of a wordy message to Bjorn. There are all the feelings of necessity in doing so, coupled with all the fear. Fear of what, pray tell, my darling? Fear of not being understood, not being valued, not being seen. Then, in my mind, through my pen, the soothing voice comes to me. The only way that someone might see you, my dear, is to show yourself to them. This is why you wear your heart on your sleeve. It is your offering to the world. Some may know just what to do with that. They may respect you for your integrity and know how to reciprocate. Others may not understand. It could even be frightening for them and may send them to a hasty retreat. That is fine, my darling. That is really about them, not a reflection of who you are and what value you hold. Stay true your course. Stay your honesty, your integrity. You put out there some good truths today. You are releasing expectations of reciprocity while still holding out a space for it to be received, should he be willing and capable and desirous of that as well. You are staying open, and that will serve you, dear. Come from love and stay open to the flow. Take care of yourself, my darling, my sweet. You are so very loved. That
Put her to sleep.
Put me to sleep.
It is very soothing to listen to it.
Good.
Quite a lot in there.
There's a lot in there. So that's chapter 5.
Like, I didn't know you're right at the beginning, your mother left your life when you were 3. Is that what you said?
Yeah, she died when I was 3.
I gathered that because you said it wasn't her fault.
Mm-hmm.
That seemed to be the only way that it wouldn't be.
Mm-hmm. It's like a mystery. You have
Yeah.
to unravel and pay attention.
Yeah.
And then there's all the time traveling. So
Yeah.
it takes a degree of focusing, I think. But I'm here to answer any questions.
Yeah, I don't know if I necessarily have any questions. I just think it was good to just kind of listen to how you read it. It's different than when you read it yourself.
Sure. Yeah, I've had friends who've known me for a long time say that when they read it, it's like, since they do know my voice, it's like they're having a conversation with me, you know, which is fun. Like they can hear my voice while they're reading it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool for me to read it.
Yeah, I can see how it brings up memories too.
I've read it over and over and over again so many times just through the whole
At bookstores and things like that.
No, just through editing. You know, I've done, so when I do readings at bookstores and stuff and like at the library, I just read little excerpts, right? And I've done some excerpts that I post then on Facebook. So, but in terms of like reading the whole thing one chapter at a time, you know, I've done that in editing, and it'll be interesting to see when we get to the further parts when I'm like really digging in and the stuff about the journey work, like, I mean, just so much stuff was revealed, and obviously like this chapter really starts to give a glimmer into some of the deep work that I had ahead of me yet, which totally came to pass. And also like it's not for the faint of heart. You know, definitely people who are asking me about medicine work, and I'm just like, yep. And it's all about set and setting. It's all about having a guide who you really trust. It's all about like really doing the work, not just like, I'm gonna go do mushrooms in the woods. You know, like that's a whole different intention, and definitely definitely different than what it ended up being for me. But it's all good. And also, I mean, I don't know, just you haven't known me for that long, so reflecting on like the me that I was 5 years ago versus like how I present myself to you now as a person that you're getting to know pretty newly.
Yeah.
I was a totally different person in a lot of ways 5 years ago.
Huh. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't know.
Yeah, you wouldn't know. That's fun.
But I mean, as I read the book, I might find out a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. All good, interesting stuff. I feel like it's good conversations for people to be having, especially with all the emotional duress that's coming up fucking globally right now.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with a lot of people for sure.
A lot of duress. Yeah, cool.
Okay.
All right. Well, good. So that was chapter 5. Next comes chapter 6.
5.
All right. Thank you. Bye. Thanks for being here, Paul.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that was like an hour long.
Hour long.